There we go. That's better. Crystal ball is taking a second to load in. All right. Welcome, everybody. To more Whispers in the Woods. Let's get a little bit of ambiance. Let's get some forest ambiance in the background. All right. Okay, good. It's working here too. Let's see if we can move that around. Move it a little bit over. Lines up pretty well. Okay. So we're currently waiting on a missing player who I'm going to page. I don't know. It could be because we're coming back from a break that memories tend to fade. But yeah, welcome everybody. It's been a little bit, but we will be back on track soon. As I told the other groups, the complications with the note transfer process meant that I had to spend most of my break fixing that and doing all that, which ate up a lot of time to work on the actual content. So that's why the streams this week are slightly shorter. And so I'm going to do that for yours as well, unless, I don't know, for some reason we just spend an hour campfire RPing. But if there's a good point to end it early, I'll take it, just because I'm a little bit behind on the actual work that I want to do, so I don't want to stretch myself too thin, or that might cause problems. Designing 2 simultaneous dungeons is always a lot of work. And then when you combine the fact that I had to be busy elsewhere doing other things, that meant that basically I had to push off some of the other work that I wanted to be doing. But I think after this session, after this shortened session, it'll be all back to normal. And we'll be back to our normal sessions for next week. This will probably be sub 2 hours today. Might be even more sub 2 hours if we don't get any Lola in here. But she is online now. So there we go.
She just hopped in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had it minimized.
She snuck in.
Welcome.
Your perception was too low.
I'm back too. We
Hello?
fixed the fire alarm.
Oh god.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry guys, I totally fucking forgot we had a session today.
You good?
I was in
Alright.
cleaning mode.
Did I upload C's twice? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I don't even do it. It just does it on its own. But it might have been one that Oh yeah, we do have 2 C's. Very well. Nah, I'll delete one of them. Thank you for letting me know. And hello, Tasty. Alrighty. So now that everybody's here, just to quickly repeat for Lola's benefit, this will be a slightly shorter session just because of all the complications and busyness that I've had in the past little bit. We're doing shorter sessions this week so that we can get back on track next week. And as I was just finishing up saying, after this week, everything will be fixed up. If I take the next couple days to polish everything off, then we'll be back on track. So yeah, that's why these sessions are slightly shorter this week. But we'll just see how everything goes and let it happen. So as you can see on the stream, I'm I'm trying out placing the chat on the stream. So that's what you're seeing. You can now see your own comments when we're on the screen.
Is it gonna be there for like Roll20 screen?
No, it won't. Just because I don't have the screen real estate for that right now. I might do it in the future, depending on how I could try to rework some of the screens. But it won't be on the Roll20 screen. It's just for this one at the beginning.
Oh, speaking of screens, did you get the token?
Nope.
Speak. Okay, I figured. Yeah.
That's because I had to choose between spending hours doing that or
That's fair enough.
working on the actual content and getting all the notes sorted. Which I chose the other option because I didn't think that the screen that we spend 4 minutes at the end of the stream on was as important. But it'll be done for next week.
Martos and Draven live on.
They live on in that form. Plus, I figured that gives us a good excuse to come back to this screen at the end where everyone can see chat again.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Fair enough.
to give a quick recap, the party, now with 2 new members, have decided to take on the task of stopping the black mold infecting the forest, quickly spreading all the way throughout the Whisperweald and beyond it, threatening to destroy, well, the entire kingdom. And to do that, they needed to make their way to the Feywild to stop the person causing it, known as Beira. Though they don't have too much information about what she is in particular. So, to cross over into the Feywild, they were given a bit of advice from the Fey of Upperloft. They were told to, rather than trying to navigate within the Feywild, to simply find the corresponding location in the material plane and then cross over from there, which is what they're doing. They're heading into the Thornwoods in an attempt to find a clearing to slip the veil and cross over into the Feywild. But while making their way through the Whisperweald in an attempt to reach the Thornwoods, they camped for the night and were set upon by some strange creatures in the night as Sybil was standing watch. They saw strange-looking silhouettes, shadowy in the darkness, with only glowing eyes to see them by. And as Sybil began to notice them, one of them snapped their fingers and snuffed out the fire that was bathing the area in a warm light. And so where we left off in particular, if we go over to the screen, be a little more specific. So, actually, no, I can keep going. All right. So where we left off in particular, in the dead of night, these creatures began to creep up to the camp as you were standing watch, Sybil. And you made a perception check that allowed you to notice them before they could perfectly spawn their or carry out their ambush. You managed to spot them before they could do so, and so that allowed you to quickly react. And during your reaction to these creatures appearing from the trees around you, pay no attention to that usage of that word. You chose to cast Entangle on 2 of them that were kind of sneaking out from the side. And then I believe you used your free action to light up Barry, the beetle on your shoulder, and
Yep.
give yourself some extra light. But you chose not to move him. You just kind of kept him on your shoulder. So as you can see, that little radius there, Sybil, is your 20 feet of bright light. You have an extra 20 beyond that is your dim light. I just thought that it would be a little bit obstructive. So that's your bright light right there. And so after you quickly made a reaction to these creatures approaching, we all rolled initiative. Though I don't believe Sybil has done much to wake the others up at this point. Did you shout? Remind me.
Yeah, I shouted at them when they popped up.
Very well. Then we'll have them make a couple rolls each on their turn to see how they spring into action. And if they do. So, as you whisper to Barry to light up the area, just saying a few small words in Druidic, and he opens up his wings and begins to cast off this bright lantern-like light. You see the two creatures closest to you, this one and this one, here. They sort of kind of hold up their hands to shield their eyes and let out this kind of high-pitched shrieking. And so, which one are you? Very well. This one is, okay, so this one here is going to attempt to move away from you, Sybil. Would you like to make an attack of opportunity?
Yes.
Okay. Then do so.
That's just my staff, right?
Yep.
Right.
That's
What? What?
I'm just laughing at how long that is.
I didn't realize. Oh. I hit the button in D20 that's the modifier. Did it even give a number, or did it just like do the description of the staff?
It just posted the description of your staff there.
Very weird. Okay, I guess I'm using 20 then. That is a 1. No, wait, no, free. It's a free.
Is it? Hang on, did it not roll at all for you?
What? I don't think it did. It just put the description for Vineyard staff twice in the chat.
Weird. It didn't roll it in the log.
I've experienced that before with staves, like magical staves, not rolling the damage or the hit via like beyond 20. I don't know what it is about staves, but sometimes they do that.
Huh.
I just tried to roll it for you. There it appeared in the log. Yours didn't appear in the log. We should have 2 rolls of that, right? Like that was rolled with my dice. See? That's a little weird.
Hey.
Try it
okay,
one more
for
time for me.
For D20?
Just rolling it on your D&D Beyond sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Very strange.
The big block text.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna use your roll since you rolled it first, not my test roll. But they did do updates recently to Beyond 20 or whatever it's called.
I don't know why it's staves. I mean, it did the same thing with Tasty's staff and
Interesting.
our Curse of Strahd game.
All right. Well,
I've
I guess
never seen it with
we'll
any
have
other.
to keep that in mind then. Let me. Can Can you test Shillelagh for me? I'm curious now.
All right, I'll test.
I just want to know this right off the top so that we can. Okay, so that
There's
works.
Shillelagh. Shillelagh is working. The staff without Shillelagh is
Sure.
not working.
That
And
works
with that
so
nat 1, it's working as normal. So
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah,
Okay.
quarterstaff should be good, but it's like just staff. I don't know why.
That's a little bit weird, but it is what it is. Just the chances of you rolling just the staff are relatively low. You usually use Shillelagh, so it shouldn't come up too much. But we'll remember that, and we'll see if it gets fixed in the future. But other than that, let's get started. So we're going to use that attack of opportunity. Your first roll, which is of course a miss. And so this creature manages to dance away as you swipe your staff at it, quickly ducking under it, and with a little bit of a cackle, makes its way kind of out of your range of your bright light that you're giving off. And then as it kind of runs away over towards the tent, it turns back towards you, and you see it kind of, it was looking at you, but then you kind of notice its eyes kind of shift ever so slightly. It's actually looking at Barry on your shoulder. And you see it raise one of its kind of gnarled little claws, and it tries to snap its fingers. So Barry's actually going to use your intelligence save for this one.
Oh man. Okay.
So you can roll it for him.
oh, nice.
So as this little creature snaps its fingers, you see Barry's light kind of just flicker slightly and then quickly pulse back to its normal brightness as he keeps his light lit. And you see,
Go, you little beetle.
you see a little look
Sorry.
of frustration kind of quickly across this gnarled creature's face, as it clearly did not succeed in what it was trying to do.
Alrighty.
And then it is going to... Oh, sorry, hang on. Let's get that back. There we go. It's going to move here and then just disappear inside this tent.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
Alright. Which brings us to this creature here. Who, I believe they both failed, right?
Yeah.
Very well. There's horror in every campaign.
In this case, personalized horror.
Listen, I don't know what you guys are afraid of. If it's a bunch of hands in the shadows, then so be it. Wrong campaign to play in, I guess. All right. So they are both tangled up in these vines that you summoned, Sybil.
Cool. So
and
we have.
as this one
3 out
moves,
of
it's
4.
going to. What's that?
Sorry. I said we have 3 out of 4 currently. Somewhat disposed. Anyway, let's just keep going. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. You can add your comments. That's fine. I just was curious what you said because I didn't hear.
Huh.
Alrighty. It is going to attempt to free itself from those vines. And it rolls a 17. Which I believe does it for your save DC.
Yep.
Alright, so this one pulls itself free. Let me actually just make a little symbol on that one so I remember that this one's free. And then it is going to kind of begin to move away, but only get about that far because you turn the area into difficult terrain. And then another turn is taken. Which brings us to this creature's turn. Who's going to make its way away from your light? You're locked to that square. And you're in that square, and you're in that square. You're still inside the tents, but just so that you're locked to the grid so that we can have it be more clear. Alright. This creature is going to quickly dash its way across that field of bright light, kind of still shielding its eyes from your the bright glow of the beetle on your shoulder. And Lola, you are still asleep at this point in time.
Just dreaming away.
So Sybil, you're the only one who can really see this. As the others are still inside their tents, but you see the creature that just ran right by you quickly makes its way out of that field of bright light, and then it kind of pauses near the opening to Lola's tent. And you can see it kind of looking through the gap in the tent fabric into the tent, and you see it just kind of begin to wave its hands in a sort of circle, clearly looking at Lola inside the tent.
That is
Lola.
incredibly hot.
I'm feeling violated. But in sleep form.
Lola, you're going to make a wisdom save with disadvantage.
Okay. Click, click.
Very well.
Take my...
So Lola, in your sleep, you begin to have nightmares. You were having a pleasant little dream about being in a meadow of flowers, but around you, all of the flowers begin to die. And horrible-looking mold begins to spread across the meadow, all the way up your legs, and consume you.
Well, that's nice. I'm enjoying this.
In addition to that...
No!
Oh, no.
In addition to that, you're going to take 11 necrotic damage.
Wow.
I'm feeling it. Yeah, yeah.
Which, because you're sleeping and because you were damaged while you're sleeping, quickly make a con save for me. The pain jolts you awake.
Oh, now I have to come face to face with these things.
So you wake up in your tent, and you can see one of these sort of shadowy looking creatures with these glowing yellow eyes, that it's peering through the flap in your tent, and then you hear this sort of cackling from behind you as another one approaches. But you're now awake, so you don't need to do anything on your turn. You can now just make your turn as normal. Which brings us to Creely's turn. So first things first. Sybil shouted to wake you all up. So she lowered the DC on your con save to wake up. So make a con save.
How low did she lower it?
Not that much. She lowered it. She lowered it significantly, but not that much. So apparently you had quite a long day previously, and so you're very exhausted.
You hear some heavy, hoarse-sounding snores coming from the tent.
And so you don't wake up on your own. So we're going to skip your turn. Which brings us to Wits. Same thing.
Right, let's see how good Wits is dreaming. Hang on, I clicked the wrong thing.
Oh boy.
Are you kidding me?
We had
Oh.
we had a long day.
We had a long day.
You apparently did have a very long day, and so you also do not wake up on your own, and so we skip your turn. Which brings us to Lola. You have been rudely awoken by this necrotic rot that's spreading across your arms where this creature was grasping at you. And now you find yourself still in your tent, surrounded on both sides by these creatures. Jolted out of your nightmare. What do you want to do?
Can I do a blood curdling scream?
Yes, you can also scream if you want.
I'm gonna do a blood curdling scream.
That's a free action.
Oh, okay, bet. And then
I'll lower the DC once more.
woo!
Alternatively, just so you guys know, you can walk up to one of your friends and just shake them awake with your action. That will bypass the save entirely and let them be woken up.
Oh, where's the fun in that?
But it uses your action to do so. Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit, Lola, so I didn't hear what you said.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit. You're a little bit rough. I have you max volume, but you're slightly quiet and you're sort of cutting in and out. I'm gonna turn the music down slightly. I'll turn off the other ambiance, just to help that be a little more clear.
Oh, okay, how about
It's a little better.
best I can do? I'm gonna misstep out of here. I'm gonna whoop, gone.
All right, where are you misty
Right
stepping
about.
to?
Where the fuck can I see?
I would say you're able to see out of the gap in your tent. So you kind of have vision in like a straight line out of this gap of the tent, but it's a little dark in that direction. And then this direction out of here. But don't forget that you do have Sybil's bright light, or dim light, so you're able to see a little bit further than you normally would. So I'd say
What do I
straight,
do?
sort of the straight lines in opposite directions, you can sort of see through the gaps in the tent. But like, if you wanted to go this direction, I would say you can't because you couldn't see past your tent.
I'm gonna go. Can I misty step through this?
Yeah, you would be ignoring the terrain because you're just teleporting.
Hell yeah! Misty step. Whoop. That working? That good?
Yeah, you're right near the gap in the tent, so I would say if this creature could see you from that angle, then you could see out of it from that angle too.
Oh. Then.
All right. So you misty step out of your tent, disappearing in a puff of mist and reappearing. Sybil, you see her just kind of snap into being outside of the tent and bathed in your bright light that Barry's giving off.
Hey Lola, welcome to the party.
What the kitty frack is that?
I don't know, I'm deflecting fear for humor. Help me.
Can I throw something? Is there like a rock around here? I'm throwing something. Or can
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a rock around there somewhere, but
I'm gonna take this pebble with all my might. I'm throwing it at his horse body. Come here.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what?
As we mentioned, his butt is sticking out of the tent.
Yeah.
Hit that butt.
All right, very well. Just to make a hit roll.
What am I doing?
You find a small little pebble kind of on the ground, which I don't think would be too difficult to find in a forest like this. But you snatch it up and you whip it at Creely's butt, which is hanging out of the tent. It'll just be the same as if you're making sort of an unarmed strike.
Oh no.
But it'll do 1 point of damage, we'll say, instead of 0.
Click.
All right.
Does this affect my AC? I mean, my AC is 17.
I mean, you are
Got a strong butt.
you are asleep, so it's not as though you're trying to avoid this.
I feel like it's more like me noticing it. Like with that,
Yeah,
like
it's-
possibly it could just hit me and like my tail instinctively swipes at it like it's a bug or something, and then that's it.
I would say it's probably more like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright.
If it was a nat one, you missed so bad that you accidentally hit Wits somehow. It bounces off like 4 things in the tent.
They'll be successful in my mind.
So this pebble that you throw kind of clatters off of Creely's armor and just kind of lands next to him. You see his tail kind of swipe at it as if it was a fly.
Intern. Silently crying, looking at Sybil.
This is chicken.
On it.
All right. So if that ends your turn,
Yes.
then you see another one of them sort of skitter its way up out of the darkness. Into the range of your dim light, Sybil, but not the range of your bright light. And you see it kind of run over to Creely and just sort of do the same thing that it did to Lola. So disadvantage wisdom save.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Are there more now?
Or sorry, did I do wisdom last time? What did I do last time? Wisdom? Yeah. Okay, that was
You
it.
did wisdom.
Okay, I was like just saying what I was saying, but I think I mixed it up with the other thing. Alright, you don't need to roll.
What? Okay.
You're all good.
Wisdom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So the same thing. So Creely, you can tell me what kind of dream you think you were having.
Like my pleasant dream?
Yeah.
Probably just walking through the forest and everything's at peace and people aren't dying or needing help to be saved or anything. Just a gentle, casual stroll through the forest.
You're wandering through the forest, and all of a sudden, the trees just begin to mold, spreading up from their roots across the branches. And as it reaches the edges of the branches, you see what was once just a gentle branch trimmed with leaves turn into these gnarled, clawed hands that all begin to reach towards you as you take 9 necrotic damage.
Alright, taken.
And then repeat con save to try to wake up from the damage.
Oh, we're wide awake.
The pain snaps you awake, and you come face to face with this creature that's kind of was standing behind you. Its gnarled talons reaching towards you.
Ruined pleasant dream.
And another one scampers up from the darkness past the tent, and outside of even the dim light. So Wits, wisdom save, disadvantage since you're asleep. Well, interesting roll, but that'll be a failure. So you can tell me as I roll your damage. Tell me what kind of dream you think you were having. A relatively pleasant one.
All right. Wits is like currently dreaming that he's just like sitting on like a large pile of gold, counting the coins.
Very well, yeah. You dream that you're atop a pile of coins, just kind of leisurely counting them all, thinking of the myriad of ways in which you're going to spend them. And then around you, you see this mold begin to spread out throughout the coins, and it turns them into first just pebbles, and then slowly they become jagged and they begin to stab at you as you lie atop a nest of thorns now instead of coins, buried in them like barbed wire. And so, you're going to take that will be 10 necrotic. And then repeat your con save to wake up from the pain.
He's still sound asleep.
You're still trapped in your nightmare, but you're now kind of like rolling around in your sleep. And you sort of get this sense that you feel the pain in your dream, Wits. It feels incredibly real, but something won't let you wake up. Alright. That brings us all the way to your initiative roll of 5. Sybil, it's now your turn.
Fun times. Okay, I'm gonna come over here. Am I gonna move too, or
Barry will move with
Barry.
you,
Okay, nice.
since he's perched on your
So-
shoulder. The creature immediately, as you bathe it with light, screeches and shields its face. This one is inside the
Alright.
tent, so it's shielded from it. Yeah, but this one does the same,
Please.
turning towards you.
Okay. Thank God it rolled high enough.
That does
So-
hit. That does
I'm
hit.
gonna hit it. Alright. So I'm going to hit it with Shillelagh.
Yeah, you run up to this one, and as it begins to shield its eyes, you take that opportunity to just sort of empower your staff and then smash it over the side of the head, sending it reeling and screeching. Just one
Alright.
sec.
And Shillelagh is bonus action, so there's my action, bonus action, and I think that's it for me.
Very well. All right. Then, creature here inside the tent, you see it kind of scamper out of the tent, joining its others, and as it approaches the bright light, it also shields its eyes and lets out a little bit of screech and then turns away to make its way outside of that. And it's going to snap its fingers again and attempt to extinguish Barry's light. So
Never intelligence save?
make another int save, yeah. All right. The light flickers again, but stays lit. And that'll be the end of its turn, which brings us to this one. Which begins to make its way around. It's too far away outside of the tent to get you with. The other one's sort of blocking the entrance to the tent. And it can't do the ability through the tent wall. Alright. Lola, as you sort of ran out into the clearing and were bathed in this light and sort of began to decide what to do next after Creely did not wake up, but you do see him kind of wake from the creatures attacking him. But as you were deciding what your next course of action would be, you begin to feel strange all of a sudden. And you sort of swivel your head to see what might be causing it, but you don't see anything at all.
That's good to know.
Nothing out of the ordinary. You didn't see any of these creatures point at you or snap at you, or none of them are close enough to do what they did to you in the tent. But you just sort of feel this unsettling feeling begin to spread across you. And then it begins to intensify and cause you pain. You feel as if your very blood is boiling within your veins.
Mhm. Well, shit. I don't like that symbol.
Sybil, the creature in front of you, the one that you just bashed, is going to attempt to sort of retaliate and lash out at you with its talons. But it still has to sort of shield its eyes from this bright light, so it's going to make this attack with disadvantage. And so as it kind of shields its eyes, it attempts to swipe at you, but since it's not able to see you very well in the bright light, it misses you.
That's good.
And so it is, after seeing that it just missed its attack and not enjoying this bright light, it's going to scamper away from you.
Do I get another attack of opportunity?
Yep, we rolled past your turn, so.
Alright. Dang it, I hit the wrong button again! Okay, there we go.
An 11 to hit will actually hit. If only barely. So as this one turns away from you to kind of run away from your bright light, you quickly swipe your staff at it and bludgeon it over the back of the head, which causes it to collapse. And as it collapses, you see it sort of almost melt and disintegrate, almost seeping into the forest floor around you, and it disappears.
Cool.
Alright, that brings us to this one, which I feel like I skipped his turn last time or something like that. I might have actually done that. Well, go ahead, buddy. Try and get out of there. It succeeds. So it wrenches itself free from the vine prison that you created, and moves its way out. And then looks at you, Sybil, and snaps its fingers. Make the int save. Alright, still up. That time when Barry flickers out for a couple seconds, it's a little bit longer. The light disappears for almost a whole second and then flickers back. That time it almost succeeded. But that'll be the end of its turn, which brings us to Creely. Creely, as you are rudely awoken by this necrotic rot spreading across you, you see one of these creatures right at the opening of your tent. You can hear the cackling of another one sort of through the canvas off to your left. What do you do?
Question. If I move here, do I take an AOP from him?
I would say yeah, just because you're leaving the tent. I would say yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll still do that.
Fair
So Creely's a big boy. He needs more room to maneuver, so he's getting out of the tent. He'll kind of shove past the creature there, and then immediately go to stab it with his pike once he's got more room to maneuver.
Very well. The creature that's kind of off to the side of the tent swipes at you with its claws as you leave, but it does not manage to hit you.
Okay. And then stabbing with the pike. Let's see what we got. 19.
You hit it.
All right, 9 piercing. Twirling the pike around, going for a smack with the butt of it.
Very well. You sort of stab into its side and it lets out another shriek. And then twirl it around to smack it with the blunt end. And you hit that as well. And as you spin your staff around and smack, or your pike around and smack it with the blunt end, you bash it over the side of the head and it collapses too. Doing the same thing where it seeps away into the floor below.
All right, and then let's see. This is difficult terrain, so that was 10 feet of movement. We're gonna move over here closer to the light and just kind of like watch or guard them from this direction.
Yeah, you sort of walk closer towards this bright light that Barry's giving off, and closer towards Lola. You can see just has this look on her face as though she's not sure what's going on, racked with pain almost. You definitely notice that something's off with her.
Stay calm, Lola. We make it through this. And that's my turn.
That brings us to Wits' turn. So top of your turn, make another con save, though both Lola and Sybil have lowered the DC on it.
Let's see if that even matters.
Yeah, as long as you're not rolling ones, you should be okay.
I've got 2 nat ones already. Okay, thank you.
So now, the cackling of these creatures, and the pain that they've caused you, and the screaming of your companions, has finally succeeded in jolting you awake. And as you are jolted awake, you are face to face with this. It's a small creature, but it's standing kind of over you as you're lying down. What do you want to do?
All right. Would that lying down count as prone? He'd have to use half his movement to get back up.
Yes, I forgot to do that for Creely, but yes.
All right. So Wits is gonna jump up immediately, and he's gonna immediately want to pull. Well, actually, how much light would be going in through the tent? Would it be a little bit since there's a small opening?
Yeah, you would get a little bit of it for sure.
All right. So
yeah, you can see this creature definitely with that light.
So yeah, he's gonna immediately jump up, use half his movement and such, and then he's going to bonus action to cast Shadow Blade, and immediately take a stab at it. Which, if I remember correctly, yeah, if it's dim light, then he makes it with advantage. The attack roll.
Yeah, then do so.
All right.
I corrected my movement, Jay.
It's all good. You didn't have to. It's not the most vitally important thing. It was the difference between a couple squares. It doesn't matter. But thank you.
It's the same roll as a dagger, so I'm just gonna roll a dagger twice.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, that should hit. So.
Yes, that does hit.
Yep.
But you should roll it again just in case you get an at 20.
That is fair. Okay.
Okay, so you hit. Roll your damage.
All right.
All right. So you deal 12 psychic damage to the creature in front of you, and you see it sort of hold its head as you stab this blade into it, racked with pain both from the physical wound and from the jolt that kind of shoots through its body. And then it topples over backwards, kind of backwards out of the tent through the flap in the tent, and collapses to the ground.
You should mess with my head, you bugger.
And seeping back into the forest around you, into the shadows, it disappears as well.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be. Would this guy be able to AOP him?
This one could AOP you if you left the tent this direction, but if you're heading further into the tent, then no. That's sort of the same thing I did with Creely. If you're leaving the tent on its side, then yes, but if you're leaving the opposite side, just ducking further back into the tent, then no, it won't be able to.
Okay. Then let me see. Yeah, Wits is just gonna beeline at the tent this way.
Yeah, so you hear the crackling of this other one as it was kind of approaching, and you duck the opposite direction. Kind of hunched over to crawl through the tent, but you appear out into the bright light that surrounds this area. And you now see your other companions also bathed in this bright light, as the creatures are now all on your to the east, all kind of at the edges of this bright light.
Oh, you guys trying to have fun without me?
You're a really heavy sleeper, aren't you, Wits?
Hey, I had a good dream.
Not fun. Danger.
So that brings us, if it's ending your turn, then that
Yeah.
brings us to Lola's turn. Now, Lola, you feel a little funny. You've got this boiling blood in your veins. It's making you both anxious, but also unnaturally angry, even for you. You feel angry at everybody, even your companions. You feel like you feel like you might be able to rid this curse if you attacked one of your companions.
Oh. Well, that's the need.
You might be able to rid yourself of this horrible anger if only you were able to take it out on somebody.
Well. Hold on. Big time. Pick number 1 through 3, everybody.
2. Or I'll put it actually.
Oh, you're it.
Oh, well.
Number-
Can I change my
Okay.
number?
No, I was too late. Although I don't think I can make it to you.
You could definitely make it to Wits.
I've always wanted to do this. Not
Wits
this,
wanted to
but like
attack
not,
Wits.
not like attack you, but like use my ram. I'm gonna ram you or attempt to. Come here. Ooh.
So this actually just uses your reaction.
Oh.
Yeah, but it still misses because I think, let me see. Yeah, Wits has a 12 AC.
Well, aren't you special?
Not really. It's not a high AC.
All right, you miss, but you still feel as though you've vented a bit of your frustration. So the feeling kind of fades for a few moments. So you've used your reaction and a bit of your movement to get here, Lola, but you still have the rest of your turn.
Wait, what the hell's wrong with you?
I'm having some aggression issues. I don't know, sir.
Well, take it out on them.
I can't. I'm gonna attempt to cast Fairy Fire, like right here. If it does what I want it to do.
Let me grab Fairy Fire. And then I'm going to give you control of it, and you can just put it where you want. There you go.
It looks magical.
Put it wherever you want.
It
Right
do
there.
Magic.
It looks very magical.
Very nice
It's
placement.
a magical.
Alrighty.
Give me some decks.
Deck saves all around. Let me refresh what the deck save of this creature is. Alrighty. What's your DC? Like 13?
14.
14?
14.
Alright. Let me put this in the background. There we go. This one here fails. Just gonna put some little symbols so we remember which ones did and did not.
Magical.
Fails. And last but not least, this one succeeds. Here in the corner.
2 out of 3. Good.
Alrighty. So the area is bathed in this sort of unnatural light. You can pick what color it is if you want. Doesn't really matter, but it does say you get to choose.
I want it to be pink.
Very well. Yeah, I don't know why that spell specifies the particular colors. It only like gives you 3 options and then says you choose. I don't know why, but I guess it's fine. Blue, green, or violet. We'll say it's violet since that's closest to pink. But I don't think it particularly matters. It can be pink. So the tent in this area is sort of bathed with this unnatural mystical light, which covers the creatures. At least 2 of them. The one further back behind the tent manages to avoid it as you cast. And so they're all kind of now giving off that same pink light. Except for this one, of course.
Well.
So presuming that's all you want to do.
Yep. That is all.
Alright. Then... it's now Sybil's turn.
Right. I'm going to move forward once again. Go. And
Thank you for the follow, by the way. Cool clown facts.
what? Is that on Twitter?
No, that was on Twitch.
Huh. 1 sec.
Give us a cool
Yeah.
clown fact. Alright, so you make your way to one of the ones that's giving off this unnatural light.
This little one. And the damage.
Yeah, you do. You will make that with advantage, technically, because this one is bathed in light. So you can roll to hit once more and see if you get a 20.
I can roll the hit?
Just roll to hit, yeah, one more time since you have advantage on it. You might as well see if you got it.
Oh, that's what you mean, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so then you use the 19 and we'll use that for. Yeah, it's always worthwhile to roll twice, even if you know your first one hit.
Alright.
Just in case you get the nat 20 on that second one. Alright, so you bash this creature that's now kind of giving off this strange light. You can see it kind of looking down at its own hands, confused as to what's going on. You use that opportunity to smack it over the head with Shillelagh. And you see its head kind of ringing as you damage it, but don't quite kill it. Anything else, Sybil?
Yep. I'm going to also use what is the name of that really quick? On the Summer Court on Lola. I'm not sure if that'll help her rage problems, but it'll at least help with that 11 damage that she picked up at the beginning of this.
Very well.
Thank you.
Well,
That's 2 I didn't have, baby.
yep.
All right. So you feel a bit of your injuries kind of subside, but this this boiling feeling in your veins, Lola, has returned after you ended your turn. All right. So if that's the end of your turn, Sybil.
That it is.
And this creature just kind of moving around the edge of the bright light. It's going to do one more snap and attempt to extinguish Barry's light.
Well,
there we go.
there we go.
So, this time as the creature snaps his fingers, you see a cruel smile spread across its face as Barry sort of flickers, trying to reignite the light in his hindquarters, but is not able to. You can see him kind of sitting on your shoulder, buzzing in frustration, trying to light it, but you only see these kind of tiny little sparks, and is not able to light up that lantern once more, as the area is now bathed in darkness. The only light being given off by these creatures now.
Ugh, that's not good.
Alright, that's the end of its turn though. Just give me 1 second. I wanted to see if I could mess around with this. There we go. So they're giving off dim but not bright light. So you're still able to see all of you who are still right up close to them. But it's not the bright light that Barry was giving off. Alright, so that's the end of that one's turn. Which brings us to... this creature here, who now that they're not bathed in this bright light, does not need to shield its eyes. So it's going to swipe at you, Sybil, with its claws. And is this time going to hit, as it does not need to focus on trying to hide its eyes. And so it claws at you with its little talons. And it's going to cause... that is going to be not a great roll. Three slashing from the claws, and then another 1 necrotic on the end of that.
All right.
And then I guess make a con save to see if you want to keep that up, but you can also drop that if you want. All right, let's stay up. Alrighty. Skipping by that. Skipping by that. This creature makes its way towards you, Lola, and is going to claw at you with its talons, trying to put out the light that's on it, but it does not succeed in hitting you. It rolled a 6.
I'd like to react with a opportunity attack as it enters my reach as well.
Barrel?
Pop.
17 for terrible damage, 4 piercing. As the shadowy figure approaches closer, Creely just jab out over Wits' shoulder in between him and Lola.
Right in between the two of them, yeah. Let me spin you around. There you go. And it's now your turn, Creely.
Alright. Well, I already attacked that one. I was planning on attacking the bottom one, but we'll stick with this one since I'm already engaged. I have advantage on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alright, you hit.
8 piercing.
This one, yeah.
The top one, yeah.
Then as you stab out first as it approaches Lola, and then on your turn stab out once more, this time hitting closer to center, and you pierce it kind of straight through its sternum. And it lets out a shriek and then collapses. And as it collapses, you see it melt once more and disappear.
Nice. And then as it's collapsing, I'll draw my pike back and then just kind of twirl it above my head and slam down the butt end on that one, the bottom one. Well, the middle one now, I guess. Let's see, bonus action.
That hits.
Oh, I'd have advantage. I'm just gonna roll again just in case I crit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, no crit. 7 bludgeoning on that one.
Alrighty.
And that will... Let's see, do I want to move? I'll hang tight. That'll be my turn.
Alright, so this one also... and this one also dies.
Nice. Is all the light gone now?
Yeah, as they sort of fade away and disappear into shadow, you see the light disappear as well.
Oh boy.
So if that's the end of your turn, Creely,
It is.
then Wits, it's now your turn.
Wits no see in dark. Which is funny because he gets advantage on attacks with this Shadow Blade in the dark. Alright. Wits wouldn't even be able to see this one then. If it's dark.
Especially not because of the way these creatures are. They tend to melt right away into darkness, so definitely not.
Alright. Well, Wits knew there was one right here before because he heard it while he was in the tent.
You know that there's probably another one on the other side of the tent, but not really sure where it is.
So Wits will run out right here, and he will, let's see. Can he ready an attack?
Yeah, it would use your reaction to do so. You just have to tell me what would trigger it.
All right. If the creature comes close enough, he'll attack with the Shadow Blade.
Yeah, if the creature comes within your Shadow Blade range, then you want to swipe at it.
Yeah.
Very well.
And then that'll be his turn.
Okay. Then that brings us back to Lola. Lola, as you kind of were watching your companions carry out their actions during their turns, it started to make you more and more angry. Your blood is still boiling. You still feel this kind of searing pain all down to your fingers and toes. And you feel like you could get rid of it if you just took out that frustration on somebody.
Off. Hey, Squilly. Oh, it doesn't even hit.
Lola, why? So
I don't
good
know.
for you.
Something's going on. I gotta murder y'all. I don't know.
Just don't.
Use your reaction to strike
I'm in
at
a lot of pain.
Sequili, and it just sort of glances off of his armor.
It's like,
It's just a loud clang. But now you're free to do the rest of your turn, unimpeded by this curse.
I'm just gonna. Difficult terrain is 10 feet, right? For movement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There. Oh, I'm blind. I still can't see nothing. Oh.
Yeah, you make your way out into the darkness.
I'm just like, fuck. It's really dark. Let me cast light real fast. I'm gonna cast light on my little sword. Alright, I can see now.
Very well. Your sword sort of blinks to life and creates this aura
Oh
of
my
light, and
goodness.
the rest of you from behind you see this light bathe the entire area, and as you kind of glance backwards, you can see that it's stemming from Lola's short sword.
I'm trying to be helpful, but I also gotta hit one of y'all. My bad. But I help.
All right. If that is all, then which one are you? That brings us to Sybil's turn.
Right. Trying to get Barry up would be a bonus action, right?
To light himself, it would be free.
Oh,
but
okay.
he's being quelled by something, so you'll have to make a roll to do it.
All right. What kind of roll would that be? What or intelligence?
Well, yeah, they don't get enough play, so let's just make a straight intelligence roll.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. Then you kind of speak quickly in Druidic, trying to encourage Barry, and you see his light flicker back, and then begin to bathe the area once more in bright light.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Now
Okay.
between both you and Lola, you can see this clearing quite well, and you can see this little creature right at the edges of your bright light, and you now know where it is.
All right.
You could already see it.
Murder time. Okay. Gonna try to hit it again.
Go for it.
And I don't think that hit. Nope. Okay.
No, that does not hit.
Awesome. And with my bonus action, I am once again. Let me think. Who got worse off earlier? The necrotic damage. Hey, Wits, how you looking?
Wits is not quite bloodied, but he's pretty close.
Okay. I'm gonna use a quick one on him then.
Very well.
Very effective. Okay.
Let's go! Let's go! I got help!
You had like a stubbed toe from bumping into a rock, Wits, when you woke up, and that pain goes away.
Wits
Sybil,
unreadies his
master
action
healer.
to feel his toe. Oh, it feels better now.
You're welcome. Okay, my turn's over then.
Very well. This creature, now bathed in that bright light, lets out another shriek, and actually turns away from you, Sybil, to avoid it. And it's going to move outside your range. You still have a reaction, so you can make an AOP.
Okay. Please let that one hit. You are kidding.
Same roll. Interesting. You swing at it, but it manages to duck under it and dashes outside of your dim light range, or your bright light range, into the dim light. And it's actually just going to sprint, using all of its movement out away. And you see it just kind of disappear off behind a tree as it runs from you.
Okay. Still on the battle map even, or to leave the battle?
It booked it as far as it could go. You can now just kind of see wisps of shadows right at the edges of your dark vision, but you can tell that it is running away from you.
Okay. Well, guess there isn't anything left to do now then.
Even with dark vision, these things are a little bit hard to distinguish from the forest around them, since they sort of blend in with the same color scheme.
Okay.
But it's right at the edges of your vision, so you could chase after it if you wanted to on your next turn, Sybil, but it is running away from you.
Alright. Well, I guess I'll have my turn.
It's still its turn. It ended its turn.
Okay.
Which brings us to redacted, which is also not going to do anything. All right, so Creely, the clearing around you and all your tents is bathed in light, with the sparkles of fairy fire still kind of floating through the air. But you quickly swivel the clearing and look for more targets, but you don't see any.
Yeah, I'll use Divine Sense, just to see if I can detect any evil creatures lurking about still.
Very well. What's the range on that?
60 feet that is not behind total cover.
All right. Okay. You cast Divine Sense and you get this feeling of there was something out there, and then it flickers away, and you now feel that there's nothing within 60 feet of you.
There was something watching from afar, but I do not detect it now. And that'll be my turn.
Very well. Since there's no actual targets for any of you guys to hit, you can loose initiative order unless you want to just relax, and then you don't have to be in initiative order at all.
Still want to murder?
Actually, no. As you see Creely kind of scanning the clearing, looking for more creatures. At the same time that Creely feels that presence flicker away, you feel your blood begin to calm. You no longer feel this murderous rage. You feel normal once more, Lola.
I don't even want to know what that creature was. I'm sorry! Hug.
It's okay.
Anyone else not want to murder anybody? Like, y'all didn't want to murder each other?
You wanted to murder us?
I don't know if it was murder or if I just wanted to, like, punch y'all in the face or what. But, like, I feel fine now. Like, I don't know, it's because, like, those creatures, like, I'm all good now. Although I feel like there's something much, much darker in this forest.
Agreed.
So you now have this incredibly bright light. It's almost a little bit too much as the two of you are standing next to each other, just bathing the whole area in light.
Barry, could you turn that off, please?
You see him kind of close up his wings, and the light flickers off.
Thank you, buddy. Okay.
Wits to dissolve his shadow blade, he's just going to yeet it into the woods this way and hopefully hit something.
I approve.
You did not hit anything, but good effort.
It's either that or he just let it dissolve, so might as well get something out of it.
Fair enough. You kill 47 squirrels.
Which whispers, yes.
You've made an enemy of the squirrel god for life. All right.
Wait, there's a squirrel god? I want to worship him instead.
Lola.
You've done this to
It's too
yourself,
late.
Jay.
It's too late. He's been kidnapped.
Oh.
You have to make new lore now for World Anvil.
Don't tempt me.
No.
Oh, I will tempt you because I want it to.
No. I need to maintain eye contact. Come here.
The hell they doing over there?
I'm chasing you. What was that thing?
I don't know what it was.
It came into my safety zone. Have you ever had your safety zone violated?
I'm having it violated right now, Lola.
Are you guys okay?
I will show you violation. I was violated.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but
I'm gonna be traumatized for life.
Wits is going to minor illusion one of those boys again.
Oh, you do that to me.
Would they fit in a 5-foot cube?
Yeah, they were short.
Okay, yeah. Wits
And
wants to use
they were
minor
also
illusion
kind of
cone right
hunched
there.
over.
Sybil jumps about 10 feet back and falls onto the ground.
Charge right through it.
Your horns meet on the air.
It's do not
Eye contact.
do that.
Who's gonna make eye contact with me first?
What do you mean? That wasn't me. You saw how elusive those things are.
Right through the tent.
So how far along is the night progressed? Like, can we still go back to sleep, or is it like coming up on morning now?
What watch was Sybil? Does anybody remember?
I think which
Sybil was
Sybil was
first.
the third.
Sybil was. I
Third.
thought you were first. Oh my god.
I think I was
the
first.
whole night.
Yeah, it was Sequili with Sybil.
Because
and
I
then
remember
Lola
a
was
couple
next.
people
I'm
making
not
checks.
sleeping.
I think
I'm pretty sure she was
third sounds right. I'll go with that. So yeah, it has sort of progressed along a decent amount. There's still a few more hours left until sunrise, so you could get a bit more sleep if you wanted to. But you will need someone to do the last watch
That's
for about
me. I'm not
4-ish
sleeping.
hours.
I'm traumatized.
Lola, scream again if they return.
I will make your ears believe.
Or maybe come
Sound of my scare.
wake me up yourself, because clearly screaming didn't work for me.
No. You're on your own. I'm gonna sit right here. I'm just gonna watch y'all sleep for my own protection. If you want to like leave a hand out for me to hold if I get scared, that'd be nice. You know, if you're gonna put your butt towards me, that's fine too. We can hold tails. I'm into that.
His butt's
Lola?
hanging out.
I'm gonna wrap my tail with your tail. Come here. We hold tails.
Oh man.
For like
okay.
a few minutes before Witch goes to bed, he's actually gonna like sit here and look through his book for a little bit.
Free can keep you company if you want until sunrise, Lola.
Please. I'm gonna hold my hand out. Like, yes, please.
No problem. Just make sure he doesn't get into any trouble.
I will
Doesn't get
protect
into
him with my
anybody's
life.
food.
Oh,
Yeah,
well. I might be with him on that one.
Yeah, he can do tricks too. Witch is gonna puff out like a circle with his pipe, like a little hoop. Oh wait, I forgot. Sybil has to actually tell him to do it.
Oh, yep.
He don't listen to you, Wits.
He only listens to Sybil. He doesn't listen to you too either.
It's okay. He just gotta look cute. I'm not gonna ask him for anything. This is my friend. I hold friend.
Yeah, but Witch is gonna re-prepare a spell, and then once he's done, he's gonna go off to sleep.
Good night. Please be aware of the screams.
All right. So you managed to kind of drift off again, attempting to get a little bit more sleep. After you were rudely awoken in the middle of the night. I don't think any of you guys did your long rest beforehand, yeah?
Don't believe so.
Nah, because we had rested not too long before this one.
Yeah, so there was no reason to. I'll let you do it now then. From the combined hours of sleep.
Alright.
And Lola, you keep watch as the others attempt to get some more sleep. But eyes kind of darting around the clearing looking for more of those creatures. You don't see any. And soon the sun begins to rise over the trees, once more bathing the Spritling's copse in those myriad of colored lights from the sun passing through the leaves. And it is now morning.
Thank freaking Lord. I'm gonna take my bear. Good morning, Sybil.
Good morning.
Don't mind me. Here's Barry. I love him.
He's a very lovable boy. Thank you for looking after him.
I will protect him with my life. What's still sleeping? Fine.
I tried to snore, but my mic didn't pick it up. Oh, you're attacking me again, I see.
I haven't forgiven you yet. But good morning.
Out of character, that makes 2 characters that hold grudges against Wits that you have made.
You made fun of my trauma.
Actually, you know it was an illusion, but you don't know it was Wit.
I suppose that's fair.
You just met the guy. You don't know he does minor illusion.
This man said, that wasn't me. It raised the suspicion bar.
Wait a second. It does take a somatic and material component, though, so she could have seen you wielding your focus and making gestures.
That is true.
Tim.
Well,
You can't lie, I've seen you.
What do you mean? You're too distracted by ramming your head through an illusion.
Now you have 2 bad juju points on you.
I don't know what you guys talk about. You guys are crazy. I was just trying to heal myself.
All right.
I carry tent.
Yeah, you spend some time packing up the tents. Your fire's already been very graciously put out for you, so you can save some time on that one.
Oh, how nice.
But now, as the early light of dawn spreads across the Spritling's copse, you can plan your path forward.
All right, where are we heading? To the west? Northwest?
Northwest was correct.
I don't know why, but the word north
been a
just
while.
seemed like it didn't fit when I was trying to remember which way we were going.
You're going
Yeah, it
kind
was
of
northwest.
You're going west, but gently north as well. That's how I would describe it. It's been a couple weeks, so I don't feel bad about reminding you.
All right,
so
then.
yeah, as you gather up your things and set out for the day, you make your way back through the wooded thicket with these multicolored trees around you, and travel for more than half your day, stretching past midday over towards afternoon, before the multicolored trees, the trees with all these brightly colored leaves, begin to become less common, and you begin to notice that a more kind of dull colored tree is at first just a couple of them sprinkled throughout, and then more and more of them you begin to notice as the forest around you begins to change. And you now, with 2 of you being Fey ancestry and 2 of you being chosen by the Fey touched, you know that this isn't some sort of trick of the forest. This is simply just a different section. And as you begin to travel another couple hours, you notice that your surroundings have definitely changed. So just give me 1 second. So, as you travel your way along now into the afternoon. You notice that the almost light-hearted nature of the Spritling's copse, these myriad of multicolored trees and um, lights passing through it, even the sort of multicolored mist throughout begins to fade away. Instead, a darker brown and green tones begin to become more prominent. And you can see spread throughout bushes and plants around, and at the bases of all the trees you can see these tangled vines laced with sharp-looking thorns.
What kind of critters we hearing around here? Same as the previous stretch of woods, or different?
No. As you continue kind of into this stretch of the forest, you notice a couple things, Creely. The forest around you is certainly darker, even though it's still daytime. The trees are closer together, packed kind of in between them with these clumps of large vines and thorns and briars. And so the surrounding is gloomier and darker. But also the odd creatures that you were hearing back in the Spritling's copse and even the fungal grove have mostly faded away. Instead, it's a lot quieter here. You don't hear the chirping of these birds, instead just cawing of crows. And pretty much that's it.
Gotcha, thank you.
Jay, I don't think we're the right size to fit the grid on this one.
That's all right. There you go.
So Creely is just going to cautiously walk forward then, just trying to keep an eye on the surroundings, noting that the wildlife has changed.
You kind of weave your way in between trees here as they're a little closer together. And as Sequili kind of pushes forward and the others you follow behind, Lola, you stray a little close to that tree and you notice that these vines wrapped around it that are coated in these thorns, they slightly, ever so gently bend towards you.
Don't go near the trees.
Okay, noted.
Stay away from the vine. Everyone has been warned. Stay away from the vine.
Understood.
Right. Wits writes in his book, Lola, scared of everything.
Lola, afraid. Oh, God.
All right, just give me one moment. I'm just going to get rid of Barry so that we don't have to drag him ever. If you want him back, we can drag him out again.
I want him back.
But we will assume that he's just always on Sybil's shoulder, unless otherwise stated. So as you make your way a little bit deeper into the thornwoods, the others, you begin to notice that same sort of strange occurrence. As you get closer to trees, the vines around them kind of twist and bend ever so slightly. It could almost be the wind, you think, but it happens too often and too regularly that it feels unnatural.
Can I get closer to one and examine it further?
As you get closer to this vine, and the deeper you get into the thornwoods, you notice that there's now these larger, even more spiked vines. The smaller ones just have these kind of little barbs on them. These darker brown ones here, as you can see, are a lot bigger. They have almost spear tips as thorns. So yeah, what do you want to examine about it, Sybil? You can see some of the smaller ones kind of gently leaning towards you as you kind of kneel down and examine them.
Are they like reaching out, or are they being hostile? Like, are they trying to hit me? I'm going to reach out at one, maybe.
They're doing it slowly, but they are reaching towards you. So if you want to move out of the way and not let it reach you, you would have to do so now, unless you want to let it.
I might take a step back. Yeah.
All right, you take a step back, and the vine kind of reaches its length, and now it just kind of follows you as you walk, but not able to reach you. Let me just check one thing. Either you or Creely can make a religion check if you want. You're probably going to want to make it you, but since you're both able to do this, you can make it with advantage.
All right.
Very well, we'll use the 22. You kind of glance over at Creely, who kind of gets the same feeling that you do. This forest wasn't always like this. You feel these vines kind of reaching out towards you, and as you kind of think about it and get this very unsettled feeling, the vines are trying to push you away. Something about this forest is unnatural. It's been changed to be like this. And you get the kind of sinking feeling that it's getting worse.
Might want to keep your guard up a little bit more as we press on further in. And, yep. No touching vines.
I'm sad. The vines are sad, and now I'm sad.
Well, I don't think anyone here planned to touch the vines anyway.
So you make your way deeper into the thornwoods, making sure that you kind of thread the needle in between the trees here, trying to avoid getting too close to any one of them as they each sort of reach out. And the atmosphere here kind of feels almost oppressive. These large clumps of vines and the towering trees kind of feel like they're all looming over you. It almost feels a little bit claustrophobic as you're trying to avoid getting too close to anything.
Creely's just going to use his pike to kind of lift up the vines or branches or whatever that blocks his path. Briefly, not long enough for them to like grab onto it and yank his pike out.
Would still do the same thing, but with Mage Hand.
Yeah,
but do it not cautiously, since he doesn't care if Mage Hand gets pulled in by one.
All right. One sec.
Actually, he gotta smack him out of the way.
Just a minute. Yes, you summon up a spectral hand and kind of use it to push some of the vines that lean towards you away. And as you can see, as you kind of place the mage hand up near the vines, they begin to sort of wrap around the hand. And they begin to attempt to pull the spectral hand kind of down towards the earth. Do you want to do anything about that? You can make it disappear.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, which will just make it disappear.
All right. Then as it go ahead.
I was He's gonna make it disappear and then reappear near it and then like slap it and be like, "Bad vine."
Yeah, so as it kind of disappears from the grasp of these vines, they sort of pause for a moment, and then when it reappears, they reach back towards it, and you kind of smack at them, and it just kind of pushes them slightly away, and then they begin to lean once more back towards it. They seem persistent.
Which will make it disappear and then reappear, but outside of their range, and then make it give the middle finger.
Very well. All right.
Uh-oh. This map's longer.
So you spend some time traveling through this forest. It takes you slightly longer because you have to weave your way in between these trees and try to avoid them. And you notice that your pathways become more and more narrow as these vines and thorns begin to lean their way ever closer, and things become more and more claustrophobic as you continue. And the deeper you get, the darker the forest is around you. As you begin to walk, just pause for a sec.
Sorry.
Just move back one space. Highest passive perception is Sybil. As you guys walk kind of through these narrow little pathways in the forest, you begin to hear this loud kind of creaking of the trees from behind you. What do you do?
From the way we just came?
Yes. Sybil notices it first, so what do you do, Sybil?
I'm going to look around and try to see what's making the noise.
You turn around, and the path that you just took is gone. It's just trees. And massive tangles of vines and thorns. The rest of you see Sybil, who was out front, just stop and spin around, looking past you all.
I'll follow her gaze.
Oh. We're not going back that way.
I guess not.
You okay there, Lola?
I'm confined. We're confined to a force that does not want us.
Lola's holding Wits' mage hand right now.
Dude, that's how it broke.
There are many entrances and exits to a forest. Do not fret.
That's true, but look at these vines. I'm telling you, these vines are... I feel... They make me sad. That's all I have to say about this.
Lola, you do look at the vines. And as you look at them, the ones that are kind of blocking your path now, at first they were just sort of big tangled balls and masses of briar and vine, filled with millions of razor sharp thorns. And then you notice kind of within them, you see these denser masses where they're more tightly packed, more tightly tangled. And as you kind of look at them, you think, that's strange. And then you see them begin to move. And suddenly the shape... Hold on there, Lola. Suddenly, you can hide behind the others if you want. I'll let you do that. But
quick question,
just running halfway across the map.
Quick question, Lola. Do you pull the hand with you?
Come on, hand. We can go. I'm gonna tap Creely and point too. I'm pointing too with the other hand. I'm like, guys, not saying nothing. I'm pointing.
As you kind of quickly duck behind and peek out around to see what you're looking at, the others, you see this as well. You realize what these masses look like. They're taking the form of people.
I like
Maybe
plants. I don't like that.
it's a new opportunity to make friends. They're just friends that we haven't made yet. They're friends.
Yeah.
Scary looking friends, but
If
friends.
that's the case, you
I
can
prefer
go.
fire.
I also prefer fire, but I think Sequili would not prefer
I
fire.
don't know. I think we can be friends with them. We can be friends. Mama always said friends are nice to have.
This part of the forest is tainted.
Oh,
Fire would be acceptable.
oh.
Okay.
I was thinking a similar thing.
And these forms begin to lurch towards you as you all notice them pulling themselves up out of the larger tangle and begin to walk towards you on these masses of vines that form legs. Roll initiative.
Roll. All right, that's not
Yep.
bad.
Yeah, some of your rolls populated, some of them didn't. Like I didn't have to type yours in so quickly, yours just went in.
I clicked my token before I rolled.
Perfect. Beautiful. That's why. All right. Now then. Let's what's this song? I don't remember. Ooh, it's not
Oh
bad.
God, that was abrupt.
That's not bad. Couldn't remember which one this one was, but we'll use it. So
Is this
these
the one that sounds like a Doom song?
these creatures begin to lurch their way out of the thorns, heading their way towards you. You're gonna have to forgive me for taking one moment to. There we go. That's better. All right. Lord. Okay. Well, that was weird, but very well. Alrighty.
Oh.
So they begin to lurch towards you on these tangled legs.
I'll react.
Yeah, very well. You're active up there. Go for it.
Boo.
It does not hit. You
Alright.
kind of you stab at it and it just goes through like a gap in the vines. As these creatures are sort of a tangled mass. And it continues towards you and is going to just sort of reach back with one of its long arms and just swipe at you with this mass of thorns.
Alright, AC 17.
That will be insufficient. And it kind of glances off your armor as these multitude of thorns do not manage to find any gaps. Which brings us to Wits.
Are there any like rocks on the ground nearby?
Yeah, I imagine there would be.
Okay. Witch is gonna pick up one of those rocks and kind of like stretch a little bit, like kind of like, you know, like you're about to throw something, and he's gonna cast catapult on it and throw it at this one.
At which one, sorry?
This one. And that one has to make a dex save.
Very well. Ooh, did I not refresh your sheet? What do I not see?
He had just read.
That's why, okay. Because
yeah.
I'm like, you don't know catapult. Very well. All right, dex.
First time I prepared it.
All right, what in the world is your dex, friend? And which one are you? What? Oh, this one, yeah.
Yep.
Very well. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought it was. That was a dirty 20.
Aw. I guess then Wits will just.
Well, that makes
Wait, what?
it not travel past it.
Wait, let me see. Oh, so okay, yeah, it just stops at. Okay, I hadn't looked at catapult in a hot minute.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah, it still hits it, right?
I had to reread it for a second. That's what I was doing just to make sure I was right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it can strike multiple targets, but if it fails the save, then strikes it and stops moving.
Okay. Right. And that's the damage.
Very well. My brain's too tired for catapult. It's one of those spells that works differently than like pretty much every other spell.
It is super weird.
There's no other spell that works quite like it, so it's a little bit strange, but very well. It's one of those ones that I always have to refresh every time a wizard or someone learns it, because it's a unique one. Alrighty, so you send the stone flying through the air, and it smashes right into the head of this creature here, and just sort of sends the thorns flying in every direction. I just need to move it over a second. Reach.
Come closer so you can die.
There you go. And it just sort of sends this tangled pile of thorns slumping to the ground, now no longer resembling that humanoid form, instead just a tangle of vines.
And after this game, Wits goes on to create baseball. All right.
It's not unreasonable.
After that, Wits will just pull out one of his daggers, and that's gonna be his turn.
Very well. Another one of the masses of vines, these needle blights, makes its way towards you, and this one instead stops. Instead of running right up to you, Wits, it stops early, and you see it just kind of lift both of those arms, aiming directly at you, and then it, with a little shudder, begins to launch these thorns right at you. And that is going to hit you. With a 14. 4. For 8 piercing.
8. Oh, I should have aimed at you, bugger.
You feel like a bunch of these tiny little needles kind of embed all across your shoulder, and a couple of them in your face. They're small, but they hurt. And that's the end of its turn. Which brings us to Sybil's turn.
We are pretty far out of reach right now. Adorable.
The mage hand is still hanging out.
My growth is ridiculously huge, right? Like, the range is...
What's that? Sorry, what?
Spike growth.
Spike growth? It is
Yeah.
quite big if
Big
you
is
want
it,
me to
like-
bring it for you.
20 feet. Oh, so
20-foot
whole circle
radius.
Like this.
Yeah, so that's 40 feet diameter. So yeah, it's pretty big.
It's quite
Oh
big, yes.
gosh. Okay.
Do you want me to pull
I
it up for you?
think. Yeah. Spike
Fair
growth.
Alrighty, there we go. Big. I'll give you control of it. Alright, place it where you want.
All right. One sec. And my range for that is 150 feet. All right, one sec. I forgot I had ruler selected. All right. So I'm going to cast Spike Growth. And try to catch as many of them in it as I can.
Very well. Alright.
Oh, and as a bonus action, I'll do Shillelagh on my staff.
Very well. One, two, and three. Whew. So you spread this twisting mass of spikes and, one might say, thorns across the ground. And if that's the end of your turn, then so be it.
Yep, that's it.
So Creely, it's now your turn.
Alright, so Creely, a little disturbed that his attack on that one just kind of went through it, is gonna interpret that as he needs to get a little bit of force behind his attacks. So he's gonna gallop out this way, which I can take an AOP from him. Let's see, right there.
Yeah, you'll attempt it.
So he's just kind of like doing like a wide loop, like he's looping around, getting ready to go back for a charge.
Fair
But
enough.
as he reaches out there, he'll raise his pike above his head and glow with green light. So Sequili, what's my range here? One of you aren't going to get blessed.
Except.
1, 2, 3. Alright, no bless for Sybil. So Sequili raises his pike above his head, glows with green light, and he says, All-Father, assist me in curing this forest of its disease. And bless will go up on Sequili, Wits, and Lola.
Very well. Alright. This guy missed his AOP, by the way.
Okay, cool. Oh, I got 2. There we go. Okay, and bonus action. I don't think I can do anything since I didn't make an attack. Actually, that used
What?
a spell slot. I can use my
Blast Wits.
Harness Divine Power as a bonus action. So yeah, after I call for the aid from the Wildfather, I'll hold my amulet around my neck, and then say a small prayer as I finish, restoring that first level spell slot.
Yep, very well.
And that'll be my turn.
Yeah. All right. So the others, you feel a slight boost in confidence. Lola and Wits, as Creely blesses you. All right. The needle blight over here begins to walk towards your group. And as it does, it's going to ignore them.
Great.
Much worse than that,
Uh-oh.
it's going to attempt to absorb them.
Great! Using thorns on the thorn monster. Awesome.
This one does not succeed in absorbing them, but it will just continue to move normally.
Okay.
And so it's going to fire thorns at you, Sybil. But it misses. With
Good.
with a 9. That'll be the end of its turn. It's gonna hang out in this territory. It likes it.
It was nice.
That brings us to Lola.
What shall Lola do?
Kill.
Skull has no fire or anything. That's okay. We'll just do it. Classic little bop. We're gonna have vicious mockery closest to us.
Very
I'm
well.
gonna make fun of his weird little tangles. You need to brush yourself out.
Hear him faintly. I would spend all morning brushing them out.
That's what I look like.
Insane. It rolled a 9, which is a failure. So it will take that for psychic.
And then I'm gonna skedaddle. Never mind, not gonna skedaddle. I don't want close vines either. Then I will give a pat on the back to Wits. Like, you got this. Boom, bardic inspiration.
Damn, I'm just collecting these tokens.
I believe in you.
You're giving it to Wits?
Yeah.
There you go. Alrighty. If that's the end of your turn,
Indeed.
and that brings us to this Needle Blight, who will make its way kind of forward into the center of these twisting mass of spikes and thorns and attempt to absorb it. This one succeeds in doing so. You see this massive spread of thorns all begin to kind of shrink and shrivel up towards it as it pulls them all in, and this massive tangle disappears. And our friend here, he levels up.
Uh-oh.
I really should have invested in some plant management techniques.
Oh, it's like a
Oh.
Pokemon.
No!
It's a Pokemon?
It's a Pokemon that you bought.
Quick, get your Pokeballs. Everyone.
All right. 1 second. The newly created Needle Lord
He looks so happy.
just raises both of its hands and sprays a massive burst of thorns over its head. And it fires sort of 3 bursts of this. At you, and you. Alright, Sybil hit. Wits miss.
Yay.
Lola hit.
Can I use a retaliation for this? Or...
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to use Hellish Rebuke.
Alright, well, let's take your damage first.
Okay, sorry.
Alright. You two. 11 piercing. As these cascade of thorns rain down from the sky, Wits, you manage to step out of the way just in time, but the others are just sort of drenched in this downpour of sharp spikes. And then you can make your your retaliation if you want.
Go, 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 go. Dang it! Are you kidding?
Alright, let's let him make a dex save. Alrighty. He fails the dex save.
Nice.
And so you see these hellish flames lick up around this creature and kind of burn at its sides and its legs, which does not enjoy. All right, and that will bring us back to the top of the turn order, which means actually, you know what? This is more fun. There you go. Might as well let you see it. Three more needle blights appear. Lurching their way out of the tangle of vines around you and beginning to make their way towards you four. This one, now that you've sort of retreated from it, so Creely ran away, it's not going to attempt to close that gap. It's just going to aim its arms at Lola and fire some needles. You have 14, so it just barely misses you, Lola.
Thank lordy.
Which brings us to Wits' turn.
So let's say, hypothetically, I use a magic attack that had a cone. Would that, if I aimed like down this way, would it get this guy? Or would it get this guy?
Probably not. It depends on the size of the cone.
It's a 30-foot.
Right, I'll just bring it up for you. We'll see. Which one? Just while I'm searching, I don't have your thing open. What are you casting?
Ryan's Binding Ice.
Gotcha.
Since clearly he didn't like the heat, so let's see if he likes the cold.
Ah, damn. Okay, I don't have that. I don't have a template for that one.
But I just wanted to see if the code would actually or not, because I probably repositioned before it.
It's like not quite the same size. I'd say you'd be able to get these two if you wanted to. But if you got both of those two, then you couldn't get this one. Otherwise, you might be able to get this one and this one.
Okay, and if it's a 30-foot cone, is that like distance-wise too? Like how far out? Or is that like, I don't know how cone's supposed to work. If the 30-foot is supposed to be how wide it goes or how far it goes.
I would say if you're aiming it to hit both of these two, it will miss that one.
Oh no, I was saying like for distance, because 30 feet would also get the guy back here too.
Yeah, you can get that one too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, which will just.
Creely's got it. Thank you.
Something like that.
It's about like that, yeah.
Unless, of course. Nah, you know. Yeah. Actually, wait, real quick, because I had stuff to weigh real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
What's this buff that Creely put on Wits and Lola?
Bless.
I have no idea
And
what that
then
does.
Bardic Inspiration.
Bless is a 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm about to have fun with this. Then.
Saving throws that you make, just to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't affect the ram spine, I guess.
I'm trying to see. Would it catch them if I moved here? Okay. Wits is gonna move here. And would that catch these two? If not, that's fine, but
If you're trying to hit this one too, then not this one. I'd say it's either this one or this one, basically.
alright, Wits will go for this one then. He doesn't care about the one back here.
Alrighty, then you'll get these three. So I'll make their... It's Kanya.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Two and three. Alright, that's a failure, and a save.
Let me roll the damage.
Alrighty. So half as much for this friend here, and then the others will take the full damage. You and you. 14 is enough to get you, and come up closer. Now go back. But not enough to kill that one. So you see kind of frost spread across the ground and up the vines along these ones, and you see them kind of freeze and crack as they begin to shatter apart into little piles of broken up vines on the ground.
Alright. Yeah, that's gonna be Wits' turn.
Throw. Alright. Another needle blight begins to approach. It's going to fire more needles at you, Wits. Not happy about what you've just done. And that is going to be a 15, which hits your 12. And
Yep.
what was that attack again? Forget what. Remembered the modifier. Oh, perfect. There we go. For another 6 piercing.
Alrighty. Wits is now bloody.
Sybil, it's now your turn.
Alright. What can I do that won't just strengthen them? All my weapons are plants. Okay.
You can always bonk them.
So. First of all, I guess.
Unless if they take your staff and make it part of them.
No, how they couldn't.
Maybe go punch them.
That would be really effective. So,
specifically this one.
Yeah. I'm legitimately at a loss. I guess at the moment I can heal Wits. Sid, you're bloodied up now?
Yep.
Right. Then I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds.
Hey, that's like almost all my health back.
Oh, nice. Alright. Bonus actions. Nope. For Balm the Summer Court. Are Lola or Sakili looking bloody at the moment?
So Keely is fine.
It's Creely's
I can
fine.
take another hit.
Lola's got some
Okay.
some thorns poking out of
She's
her, but
almost dead.
she's still standing.
Okay, then my turn's over.
Very well. So Creely, it's your turn.
All right. He's kind of headed back here to get a bit of distance. He will loop back just a little bit more, and then charge forward towards this creature. So I'm going to make a pike attack, and then I'm going to do my hooves attack, since I charged 30 feet.
Go for it. That's a miss.
Oof. 11. Let me make sure I can still do it if I don't have to hit. I think it's just if I make attack. No, I have to hit. God damn it.
Actually, you should roll your bless too.
Oh, good point.
Okay, it's a miss.
See, it's still a miss. Okay, well, I got something else. So as I miss, I will tell the creature, you and Creely, 1v1. And I'll cast Compelled Duel, so Wisdom 11
Very
for
well.
him.
I love in character him saying 1v1 me, bro.
Alright, that was a 17.
Okay, well,
He is not interested in the 1v1.
It just looks back at you. No.
that is my turn.
Very well.
Imagine he throws down his like pike and just crosses his arms and sits down.
Alright, this needle blight, as you run up, is going to shoot thorns at you, Creely.
Okay.
That is a 12, so that will miss you. Which brings us to Lola's turn.
Does this one?
What about it?
Do I have advantage on that one from the vicious mockery still, or has time passed?
What's the end state of vicious mockery again?
Let me see.
I forget if
I
it's
find it.
end of. It's disadvantage for it. Before the end of its next turn. Not for you.
Okay.
But you do have your bless to hit stuff. Ugh.
Well, fuck it. I'm just gonna frick it. I'm just gonna run up there.
Very well.
I'm gonna go pop.
Roll your bless. Say D4.
Whew,
That will hit.
16. Woo! Like, oh, well, nothing.
All right. Which one? So you stab at this one and kind of cut it up with your short sword, and it kind of falls into a bunch of different clumps of vines at your feet.
Oh! I'm a bad little bard. Look at Sequilly.
Mm,
2
good
thumbs
work.
up. Sequilly! 2 thumbs up. You got bardic inspiration.
Awesome.
And I'll stay right here. That's my turn.
Very well. This creature here is going to shoot thorns at you.
Bring it.
And that will hit you for 4. For 4 piercing.
Slowly getting very hurt.
And then just kind of slightly moving towards you, and its turn after that.
Go.
Alright. Now then. That brings us to the end of round 2. So, first things first. Okay. Very well. One, two, three, and 4.
We're just playing COD Zombies now.
And as this one appears, you notice that it looks like the one that was sort of empowered by the absorption of Sybil's spike growth. The two of them look across the battlefield, and then you see them both kind of start to chant something in a language you don't understand. And then the forest around you, you hear that same kind of creaking and groaning of the trees and the rustling of vines. And from behind these creatures, all right. Let's just do this. 1 second. That's better. Alright, bear with me one moment. Alright, that's better. Perfect. And there we go. The forest behind these creatures begins to sort of bend inward, and you see this surge of thorns begin to kind of progress forward. This massive briar spreading further and further towards you.
Continuously moving this way?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Alright, I played Terraria recently. I remember the Wall of Flesh.
It was nice knowing you all.
That brings us to this one's turn, but it used its turn to cast that with this one. Which brings us to Wits. Wits, the forest has come alive and begun to swallow the battlefield. What do you do?
All right, everyone, we need to fall back, like, now.
Yep.
But don't worry, I have my own army to distract them while we leave. I'm trying to decide what person of the past I want to bring back. I have such a long list now. There's so many choices.
Which surprise tool will be the one to help us later?
Even though all the tools will do the same thing, it's just different look.
Just hit me with it. I'm at the search bar. I'm ready to type in whatever you want.
Let me think. I was gonna do something, but I don't think it'll fit now. So now that you have the wall of vines coming, no, let's bring our old friend Draven. I'll use a minor illusion to have him in that crouching position we had before.
Yeah, he's sort of hunched down.
Yeah, like he's about to lunge. Let's bring back some Draven.
I'll give you control, and then you can play some wherever you want.
Okay.
There you go. Just so that my brain can handle all these tokens, I'm gonna make them like spectral.
Yeah, and I have to designate one to be the original.
Right.
Since I'm gonna use a charge of the bracers.
You can place them wherever you want.
Right.
You should be able to control all these. Yeah.
I'll put one here. One here. Actually, no. I'll do this. And then the third one is going to be here.
Very well.
And this one... Here, let me put a little marker on it. This one's the OG one. Actually, different color.
Gotcha. So with a flick of Wits' wrist, a army of spectral Dravens appear and now are in this tangible form where it looks like multiple Dravens have been summoned to aid you.
Don't worry, Creely. I assure you, they are not enemies. They are here to distract them for you.
And you can see the bramble creatures all kind of looking around. Now looking at these new forms that have just taken shape.
Oh wait, I forgot I was gonna move back before I did this.
You can still move. You have an intuition.
Oh yeah, which was gonna move to like here. And that was gonna be it.
Very well.
But that was supposed to be before he did it, because... Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. Alright. This creature here is going to use its turn to just sort of attack this Draven that has appeared in front of it, who is this strange lunar elven man. And strike at it with this kind of whip of thorns. But it doesn't hit, actually. It failed so badly that there's no way it would have hit. So it just kind of swipes and does not manage to even hit the image. absolutely pathetic. You're fired, buddy.
Impressive. It's not even moving.
I
Like,
know.
If it was,
That's
if
that's why
it was
it's like
silent image, you could have argued that like it was slightly moving, but no.
it was such a bad roll that that it has to go that way. Okay, Sybil, it's your turn. The forest has begun to consume part of the battlefield, but now a army of Dravens is here to distract the foes. What do you do?
I'm moving. Can I use dash as an action? Like, how much extra movement does that get me?
Doubles it.
Okay, so moving over here, hoping I don't get whipped.
Yeah, they begin to lean towards you. They don't reach you during this turn. If you were to stay here, they would definitely get you by your next turn.
Okay.
Standing still is what gets you.
And as a bonus action. Alright. Sorry, I'm having a hard time following how everybody else is doing in this battle. So
Me
Keely,
too.
you seem you're on the front of this. How are you doing?
So Keely is the picture of perfect health.
Excellent. Okay. And Lola, Wits, I already healed you. Use a Home of the Summer Court on, I guess. Lola then? And nice.
Nice.
Alright.
I feel great again.
That's my turn then.
Very well. So the others, you definitely notice that Sybil has begun to retreat, making your way quite far down this path in the forest, even further past Wits. Which brings us to Creely's turn.
Alright, well, Wits explained what was going on with the images, so he's not freaked out about that. Sybil's turn to dip, so it's understanding that it's time to leave. However, I will not disengage. I'm going to run over here by Lola and give her a head pat for 9 HP.
Very
I
well.
love some head
Lay on
pat.
hands.
The healing.
Yeah,
head
lay
pat.
on hands. So I can take an AOP from Green Boy then.
Yeah, he's gonna do it. Alrighty. Whew. That was a 19.
That will hit.
Alright. Alright. Very good. Good job, Needleoid.
I'm gonna make my con save. Bless is down.
Very well. And that will be 9 piercing.
Wait, can I?
Oops.
Oh, that's a save, so I can. I can Bardic Inspiration that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bless is down. 9 piercing, you said?
Yeah. As he lashes out with his thorns as you turn to retreat.
Alright, damage taken. That's my turn.
Very well. This one will kind of remain here and attempt to strike at this Draven. They're not the picture of intelligence. But this one will suss out that it is, in fact, an illusion, in spite of what I just said. So it's going to actually ignore it and move past it and kind of begin to chase you down. It's actually going to shoot some thorns at Lola. which will hit you for 3 piercing. And bring us to your turn, Lola.
Lola is gonna haul some butt. She is leaving. I'm gonna dash. And then. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I'm gonna Misty Step as well. I'm gone, guys. I will see y'all later.
Alright.
And yeah, let's go. I'm gone.
So Lola just books it right past you, and then as soon as she kind of whizzes right by you, you see her just disappear in a puff of smoke and appear even further away. She is gone.
I'm a very good runner.
Alright. That brings us to this vine, this needle blight, which is going to make its way towards you, Wits, and strike at you with its tendrils. Which will hit you for, well, 2 piercing.
Yes.
That was an underwhelming roll.
But one I am grateful for.
Alrighty. Which brings us to the end of the turn order. Fun. Always a good time. Okay. As you command, dice. Alright. And the the forest begins to shake once more as the approaching vines begin to surge once more. Lucky lad.
Uh-oh.
Okay, F staying here. About to dash on my turn, dude. Good luck.
And so I'm not gonna copy a million of them, but this whole area is now just completely swarmed by vines. The needle blights do not seem to have too much issue with navigating it, but it is a rather dense thicket. What were you gonna ask, Wits?
I was gonna ask, like, what happened to, like are if the people in it, like this guy here, he could still do stuff?
They don't seem to have any trouble navigating it. It kind of forms itself around them, and it actually just sort of goes right through all your illusions. But the illusions are still there. They just kind of have vines sticking out of them.
All right.
All right. He's just gonna kind of hide in his little, his little perch of thorns. He's just gonna watch. He's got a little grin on his face. He likes what's happening. Which brings us to your turn, Wits.
Can he see this guy at all right here?
Yeah, you can see that there's kind of a denser patch here, and you definitely recognize the same shape. As the massive wall of vines kind of allows room for them to navigate through. So yes,
All
you
right.
can see it.
So he's gonna give this guy the middle finger as he uses Misty Step to teleport away.
Very well. Very good.
So yeah, that's gonna put him here.
You flip him the bird and vanish in a puff of mist, not allowing it to attack you. Now you're free to move however you want.
He just said, "Fuck your AOP."
Is that your verbal component to that spell? You say "fuck your AOP" and then you just vanish.
Honestly, considering I've only ever used it to get out of an AOP, it is.
Misty Step really pulling its weight here in this fight.
Yeah.
I had a feeling it would.
Especially since that didn't even cost me a spell slot.
Alrighty. Anything else? Wits?
So Creely, you're fast. You can make it out. He's gonna run again.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's gonna run to here. And that's gonna be his turn.
Yeah, you dash past Sewell, making your way further out into the forest. All right. These ones get distracted. These ones move forward. We're just moving them all together. It's too many of them.
A group effort.
Sybil, it's your turn.
Okay. Booking it.
Yeah, as you sort of turn to run, you can see that the vines around you have gotten pretty close. If you were to stay here, they would definitely grab you.
All right. Excuse me, Lola.
All right, you continue to run off into the forest. If that's the end of your turn, then it's Creely's turn.
All right. Seeing everyone else safely managing to get out of harm's way, so Creely will wheel to the side and then go into a full gallop, just knocking any branches or vines away as he just charges forward.
Yeah, they're not. This section of the forest has not been empowered, so it's not as forceful. So you're able to just kind of knock them away.
All right. And that was my dash, and that was my turn.
Very well. Lola, that brings us to your turn. Since you guys are so far away, I'm just kind of speeding things up.
Woo! I'm gonna shoot this guy. I'm not gonna shoot this guy. I'm running. After that failed shot, she's just hauling butt now. She gone.
All right.
She's on
This is
the
a
map. But she's
blind shot behind you, like not even
I got
looking.
That really was a blind shot.
Then Lola dashes her way off further down into the forest. And so... The surge of thorns begins to move once more, getting ever closer.
And those guys are riding a wave of it.
Wits, it's your turn.
So I can get to there. I'm putting a pog frog right here.
Very well.
And then bye.
Forcibly pogs in your direction.
Yeah. Get pogged. Alright, that's the turn.
Very well.
A farewell pog, if you will.
The creatures kind of continue towards you. Sybil, it's your turn.
Going to continue dashing after Lola until I go off the map.
All right. You got a lot of movement here. So I'm gonna actually bring you over here. Welcome to the other map, Miss Lola.
I do not enjoy the other map.
Yeah, I wasn't enjoying it either.
Oh god. Maybe Sequili and I should stay here.
So you only used about 10 of your movement or so, Sybil, so you still have the rest of it as you arrive on the other map. No context for the others. We're on the other map. Only chat and you guys get to see this. So Sybil, you spot what might be described as a clearing. What are you gonna do?
Running into the middle of the clearing.
Very well.
Wait a minute. Didn't we hear something about doing a ritual thing in a clearing? Racking my memory.
Interesting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
You got
fairy
the
dust.
bag.
Alright,
Better
and
get
Sybil-
druiding.
Yep, Sybil is going to begin as quickly as possible. Filling the fairy dust in a circle around this clearing.
All right. Well, you're still in combat. You gotta wait for your movement.
Oh crap. Okay, so I was here,
Tick tock.
then... Okay, so... Starting right here, I guess.
Let me. You rack your brain for the approximate size that you drew last time, and I'll draw it for you. It's about that.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah. That is better than I thought. I thought it was gonna go, like, all the way
If you
around.
trace kind of the darker brown area, and that's about what you need to do.
Okay.
You need to run that circle before the vines reach you.
Alright. So
Alright.
I guess that's my turn over.
Very well. So Creely, back on the other map. The others have run off into the further into the woods, and you're kind of a little bit obscured from vision now, leaving just you and Wits as this surge of brambles continues. What are you gonna do?
I'm running 20 feet there and then 5 feet to the next area.
Very well. All right, then you may join us on the other map. There you go. Anything else?
Let's see, it was what, 25, so I've still got 15 feet of movement. I will just get over here, just away from the thorns a bit,
Very well.
and that'll be my turn.
The creatures continue to surge forward towards, kind of tracing their way through this massive wave of vines towards you, Wits. Lola, it's your turn.
Mila, what the friggity frack? Okay. I don't think I can help. You're on your own, Sim. I don't think I can help you with this.
I do not think you can either.
I think this is just all you. So... yeah, now I guess I'm just gonna wait here with my little short bow. They come in range, I'm gonna start fucking firing.
You don't have to be upside down if you don't want to, you know.
No. This is me.
I can mirror your
She's-
portrait so that you can face
No.
different directions.
No, she's sitting on her head right now.
This is me.
Alrighty.
Much easier.
Then that brings us to the end of the turn order. As the mass continues.
Oh, you can also get rid of 2 of those ravens, since technically they wouldn't be there anymore. No, they ignored the pog frog. He just wanted to be their friend.
A large majority of these needle blights and the needle lord are sort of just riding this wave forward like a tidal wave. They know that this is a well, they know what the others have seen. So they're not really in a rush. Alrighty. Wits, it's your turn.
Wits will stay back and fight. I'm kidding. He's leaving.
A heroic sacrifice.
Doesn't even attack. Just runs into the vine.
Alright.
All right. That was 25 of his movement to get there.
Then you may join us. So Wits, you kind of continue down this path, and you rejoin the others to see that you now stand in a sort of clearing. That while the area is not covered in thorns, and you have a bit of breathing room, it is in fact a dead end.
All right. Did Sybil start working on the circle stuff yet?
Yeah, you can see her. You can
just
see her.
started.
She's pulled it out of her bag. You can see her holding this little cloth parcel that she was given. She's kind of begun to sprinkle some of it, so you can see that happening.
This is the same circle we made before, right? But we're just adding the.
Yes, you don't have Ilsavel to help you, so you have the other stuff instead.
Okay.
It's taking over for Ilsavel's absence.
Let me see. So that's good there. Witch will dash to get over here and start trying to help Sybil. And while he runs by, he just yells at Yola and Sequili. I know we can't really hold him off, but do as best as you can, because we have to do this quickly.
Right. So do I give you like a handful of the
Yeah,
dust?
so in this little cloth pouch that you were given, Sybil, inside of it is what appears to be powder. So you can describe to me how the two of you are going to split this duty.
All right, let's start here. Wait, no, I have my ruler equipped. Start here. Then it's like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 to the other side.
It's your
So
turn,
we
by the
should
way,
be able
Sybil.
to do. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, then 5, 10, 25. Right now, 10.
I will say you aren't able to do this
15,
while
20,
dashing. That would
25,
not give you enough
30.
time to sprinkle.
30 feet is not dashing, right?
Yeah, you're fine, you're fine. I'm just saying you can't do the full 60 because that would be just sprinting along and you wouldn't be able to cover the right area in that time.
Okay. If we both do that, we should be able to get it done within our turns. Alright, so I've done all the dust up until from like here to here then.
I'm guessing you gave Wits some?
Yeah.
Alright. Just ran off with that. I was like, okay, I guess that won't help. So you did this?
Yeah.
Wait. No. You had more
We're
movement
going
than
around
that.
the structure.
Was that it? Or do I need to move them?
I think. Was that it?
It's just a circle.
Right.
I'm not gonna
Okay,
be
yeah.
I'm not gonna be that picky. Alright. That'll bring us to Creely's turn. Creely, further down the pathway in this direction, you can see that the needle blights will be upon you soon as they surge forward.
So Creely readies himself and just braces for whatever comes his way.
Vero?
I don't need to ready in action because I got the A off on
Okay.
entrance. So yeah, that's it.
Alright. Lola, what are you up to?
What is Lola up to?
So Creely didn't read anything, but you can, if you want to. It uses your reaction, and then you just tell me what kind of trigger you want to activate, what you're going to do.
Start firing arrows. If they're in range of an arrow, I'm shooting them. And that's that. So that is. I can't. Is anything in my view? What's the closest thing to me? Are they close enough? I'm gonna shoot them.
I would say that they're. Let me just double check something. They're kind of a little bit far away at the moment.
I'm just gonna get the bow ready, hold it. As soon as they get in, that's it. Blue! Done.
So if one approaches your range, you want to immediately fire an arrow at it. Yeah.
Immediately fire. Yep,
Okay. Then you'll have readied that action.
I'm ready. And that's it. I'm gonna scream at them to hurry up, though.
All right. Then end of the turn order. The needle blights begin to pour forward. Lola, you can take a shot at that one, or really any of them.
Oh my god! Go for this middle one.
All right. 24 hits, 5 piercing damage.
Double Wits! Time to hurry up!
We're hurrying!
Your arrow lodges in sort of the center of its chest, where these the vines are packed most tightly, and sticks out of it. It kind of sends it reeling backwards a couple steps, pausing it for a moment before it can lunge forward once more. One of the other ones lunges towards you, so Creely.
All right. Yeah, I'll react with my like.
Go for it.
Miserable.
You don't quite manage to hit it. Passes through it once more, through a gap in the vines. Which
These
will
hard to hit.
roll us back around to Wits.
All right. So first, Wits will go pour. Boom. Circle. What would the pouring cost? Would that be like an action or object in action or something like that?
I'm just counting it as basically your actions,
Okay.
since it's stopping you from dashing. That's what makes sense to me.
Oh, okay. All right. What's next, Bill?
So
Yeah, sorry.
as you finish completing this circle of powder, you can see, as you turn around behind you to look, you can see that these plants have begun to sort of bloom up around you in the shape of the circle that you made. So just give me one second. You can see sort of mushrooms and small little flowers all begin to bloom in this perfect circle, tracing around the pattern that you drew with the powder. Wits. This isn't really your expertise, so there isn't really much you can do at this point to aid in the circle.
Okay. Well, since Wits basically used everything he can do that turn, that's gonna be his turn.
Very well. Then that brings us to you, Sybil. As someone with druidic background, I would say someone with an Oath of the Ancients vow would be able to do this too, though Sybil is a little closer, and it is her turn. So Creely, this is something you can attempt as well. Sybil, you can make a nature, or alternatively religion, but it's the same value for you. I think either is fine.
Yep.
Nice.
Nice. Okay.
All right. Then. You sort of kneel down at the edges of this massive circle that you've just drawn out of plants, essentially. And you begin to sort of channel druidic energy through it, feeling closer to the Wild Father than you really ever have. And as you do this, you see sparkles and light kind of begin to trace its way all around this this circle that you've just drawn. It's like really making me laugh. And so, as the circle completes itself, it changes, and the entire area is bathed in light.
Ooh.
Lola, don't pick them.
And all at once, Sybil, you know what you must do. You must step into the circle and slip the veil into the Feywild. So channeling that used your action, but you still have your movement.
I'm going to step in.
All right. You see almost the others, Wits. You're really close to this, so you have a very good view. But as she steps into this circle, you see kind of fireflies wisp off of the flowers that have now bloomed, and they're giving off this multicolored myriad of lights. And they begin to swarm around Sybil until you can't even see her at all. It's just a massive light, and then all at once they disperse in all directions, and Sybil is gone. So Creely, it's your turn.
Okay. Yeah, so he was just trying to hold them off long enough for them to finish the ritual, so it's time to dip. I'd like to move here, and if Lola is okay with it, I would attempt to grapple her by scooping her up under my arm and heading towards the circle.
Very well.
Like a little potato sack.
I don't think she's gonna resist it, so you can just
No.
yank her.
All right, I'll scoop her up, and then I got just enough movement to get inside the circle, so I'll bring her with me.
All right. Then the same thing occurs to you two, as these fireflies begin to envelop you, swirling faster and faster around you until you're just a massive light, and then simultaneously the two of you, those fireflies, all kind of disappear, and so too do both of you.
And once again, Wits is last to leave.
Sad. And so, Wits, now standing in this clearing alone, you look back at these needle blights, and they're running up on you. This one's gonna shoot needles at you. And that's going to hit you for another 3 piercing.
That's a joke. For 20, Wits is down.
This one's gonna shoot needles at you. Just gonna hit you for 4 piercing. And this one, I think it's still ranged. Yeah, that one's gonna shoot needles at you too. But that one misses with a 5.
Good, because Wits is bloody now.
So you're stabbed in the side with these needles as these creatures run up on you. Behind them, you can see even more of them approaching, including one of the needle lords. But that will roll us back around to your turn, Wits.
Wits must fend them up. Okay.
The heroic sacrifice for the second time.
Sorry, I'm not a rogue. I'm not gonna have that story arc. All right. Wits will run in here, and he will pull out his pipe and make a puff of smoke that makes a middle finger as he goes away.
All right, the fireflies whirl around you as well, and then disperse, leaving just that tiny little puff of smoke in the shape of a middle finger behind as you disappear. And so, now that all four of you have slipped the veil, one, two, three, and big. All right. So, as you cross between planes into the Feywild, you feel sort of a lurch in your stomach, as if you just sort of went over the hill in a roller coaster. And you see that the forest around you, as you look around as the fireflies disperse, to you, you feel as if you almost didn't even move at all, in spite of that little lurch. But you look around at the clearing, and it looks different. The trees are strange colors. The vines that were looming over and twisting towards you are now massive, even bigger than they were before. And you can see these towering flowers that give off this blue glow, stretching high up into the sky. And the fairy circle still remains around you, but you now stand in the Feywild. And you're out of combat.
This is a really cool map.
Yeah. The second of being teleported in, since Wits got hit by like a bunch of thorns right before he went through, he's gonna like immediately like fall to his knees and like cough with holding his hand on the side of blood.
Yeah, Wits sort of shows up a couple seconds after the rest of you, and he's got some fresh wounds now all across his side.
Oh, I'm gonna get those really quick.
Oh.
Nice!
Okay.
Don't even need to count that. My health, overall health is so low. I'm sure that gives me the max health.
All right. Your
Yeah,
wounds close up.
He was like wincing in pain. He was like, oh, okay, I feel fine.
And the forest is familiar yet strange, as it looms around you with all sorts of strange lights dancing about. What do you do next?
Check and see if Barry's okay.
Do not
okay?
disturb the circle is what Creely does.
I stomp on the plants.
Ooh, pretty flower.
Yeah, there's sort of there's two rings to the circle. The outermost one is made of sort of fungi of all different kinds, and then the inner one is these glowing flowers that kind of have summoned these fireflies all around you. Yeah, you gingerly step over them and avoid trampling anything, leaving the area around you intact and the fairy circle as well.
You're gonna say Lola is gonna go to pick a flower. I was gonna say Witch uses Mage Hand to slap her hand out of the way.
Pick flower.
Just no touching.
It's so pretty though. What if I just lick it? I won't pluck it. I'll just lick it.
And so once where there was just a dead end of brambles, there's now a path through the forest that was not there before. And it is actually lined with mossy stone, stretching out and kind of zigzagging through this forest.
What are we hearing right now?
All manner of just unrecognizable noises. Something that vaguely resembles a bird call, but doesn't sound quite right. And from time to time you get a little bit of a gentle breeze that sort of moves all of the trees and brambles, and even makes the massive flowers high up above you kind of sway slightly. And the breeze feels just a little too cool. It kind of gives you shivers.
Friday, well, it appears there's only one way to go.
So clearly
Right.
we'll lead.
And so, as I said, this path kind of winds its way through, but it seems to be the only route to follow. What were you gonna
Never mind. I'm good.
say?
Are there any rocks along the path?
I mean, it sort of has this cobblestone texture to it. There might be a few loose ones you could pry up.
Right. If there's any like clear loose ones, which will use Mage Hand to like pick up maybe like 2, maybe 3 of them, and just kind of put it in his bag.
Very well.
I guess 3, so that we have an actual number.
Very well. All right. So as you wind your way through this forest path along the cobblestone covered in moss, you travel for maybe 20-ish minutes, winding your way to and fro, left and then right. And the trees and stuff that kind of tower and block your view of anything else eventually disperse. They open up into a clearing, and towering beyond it, one second, let me drag y'all back into the... There we go. You see this. Before you,
Oh,
you can
dear.
see stone fences with an iron gate lined on either side by 2 orange glowing lanterns that appear to be made from tree branches. But beyond this fence and beyond the gate, you can see a massive castle. Welcome to the Briar Keep. You can see all the way up along the castle's walls are more of these twisting, very jagged looking vines, all covered in millions and millions of thorns. And you can see that there's sort of, in the center of it, this very tall tower that goes up quite a ways. But out front, in a small little square that eventually leads to these stairs and a twin set of massive doors, you can see statues on either side, made from stone but covered in a very thick layer of moss that almost obscures them before you approach. And as you look up at it, this massive area, you understand that you have reached your destination. This must be where Beira is lurking. And that's where we'll end for today.
Omega spooky. Love it.
Ooh.
Ah, that was some
I
good
feel
stuff.
death is in our future, but I'm into it.
I got a little bit of healing left. I got like 11 healing on lay on hands. And I still got
high healing, so we're good. We got this.
I still got 2 spell slots. So.
I tried to save spell slots towards the end there, so I'm fine. I got 3 level 1, 2 level 2,
Yep, I got free level 1.
and I still have a charge in my bracers, but I did use a Misty Step there.
All right.
I got my channel divinity as well, which might come in useful here. I don't know.
I have Charm Person still. I will charm Beira.
Now then, we'll come back to this. This ends up being a full-length session just because I didn't want to stop. I wanted to leave off at this cliffhanger. Thought it was better than stopping part of the way.
Yeah, good pacing on this session.
Mm-hmm.
It was only a 2-hour session.
So yeah, we'll pick up here next week unless anything interferes with anybody. Does anybody have any conflicts with next week? That would be the 12th.
That should be good.
Should be good.
I'm free.
Alrighty. Then we'll pencil it in. If anything changes, let me know. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, we'll get right back into it as you make your way into the Briar Keep. As for the rest of the bookkeeping, we have a couple days off before more Seas of Sand. I think they should be fine for next week. So we'll be back to normal stream lengths. Actually, we were kind of back to normal stream lengths today, but next week's sessions will be normal again, because the couple days in between now and the streams will give me time to polish up everything I need to do. I'm almost certainly going to be done, so we'll be back to normal next week.
Sounds good.
With that,
So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Thanks for playing, players.
Thanks for DMing, DM.
Do my
I couldn't be here without you.
I'll do my little wrap up.
Thanks for fun encounters.
There's some very fun encounters.
If you want to check out any schedule changes or stream time updates, follow me on Twitter. I tweet about them. You can also use that as a handy little tool to see when I'm going live. If you want to join our Discord, feel free. It's open to everybody. There's the link there. It's not just for players, it's for anyone. So join up if you want to. We got channels for all the different campaigns so you can discuss what's going on. We have meme channels for your shitposts. We have a art channel where there's constantly tons of really, really amazing art being placed in there. Did I ever show... I don't know if I did, because we took some time off. Do you mind if I show the symbol and the hands? Because I never got to show that on stream. So let me show that for everyone.
Oh, that's so dope.
Because it's so good. So we need to show it as many times as possible. This art of Sybil standing watch when the little creatures began to slink out. It's such a good piece. I love it so much. All right.
Lighting was really fun to do on that one.
Yeah, the lighting is really, really good.
Yeah.
All little hands. So to wrap everything else up, yes, if you want to see more art like that, join the Discord. If you want to catch up on anything you missed, or just go back and watch an old video or some of the campaigns that have already ended, you can check out the archive on YouTube and move all the VODs from here over there. So check that out when you have a moment. And if you want to learn more about the world that all my campaigns take place in, Grand Lorien, then follow that link there. And that will bring you to the World Anvil, where you can read about factions, deities. If you want to learn about that little Wildfather fellow, Athar, that we referenced a couple times this session, you can do so through that link. But there's places, characters, all sorts of stuff on there. I update it from time to time, so check it out. For reference, this campaign takes place in Kiltai-Hera, the Feylands. In particular, they're in the Whisperweld, kind of the northern central section of it. Now slipped into the Feywild, though. So yeah, there's all the links if you want to go do some extracurricular before your next lesson. But yeah, other than that, thank you for stopping by. And I'll see you, some of you maybe next Sunday for more Seas of Sand. They just fought off a bunch of gnolls and are now making their way to Kasana Oasis finally. Or more Silver Song on Mondays. They are making their way into the Silver Court Woods in search of a mine that might hold dragon bones.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So check that one out too. Those are all very fun campaigns. So see some of you on Sunday. If you're just here for this campaign, then see you on next Wednesday. Other than that, take care. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.
Night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.